welcome back to Creative Culture, the world's #1 podcast about culture and creativity. Don't forget, if you enjoy this podcast, please do me a favor and leave a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It only takes a second, and it really helps this podcast get discovered. If you're feeling really frisky, you can leave a review too over on Apple Podcast or at the Creative Culture website. That's creativeculturepod.com. I don't know, Spotify doesn't have reviews yet. I hope they do soon. So this show is a labor of love, and I really appreciate any help you can give me there. Don't forget, you can also support the podcast financially with dollars and cents over at patreon.com/creativeculturepod. Cam Anderson from Blacktail Studio is back with me again this week. Seems like you were just here. It was, you know when it was November was the last time you were on this show. So it's been a little...
As long as I'm ahead of Hibbs in the count, that's all I got to do is stay ahead of, as your most frequented guest.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you got to stay at the top of the game because you're the #1 pseudo woodworking channel.
Fair.
You're the #1 channel right now. It has woodworking. I was going to say #1 maker channel, but it's hard to define that because there's like that Stuff Made Here guy. Man, dude's killing it. Do you know him?
I don't know him.
Have you ever seen any of the videos he does? Stuff Made Here?
Probably. I mean, it sounds familiar, but there's a lot of those, like, I like to make stuff and Stuff Made Here, so I get them confused.
The stuff. But, Stuff Made Here is the new, he's a pandemic channel. Started out with, like, these robotic stuff. He makes these in the pandemic, the first video he made that just went totally viral was the, like, robotic haircut machine because so I know the guy you're talking about. So he comes out with a video a month or maybe even a little bit longer, but oh man, he puts so much work into these things, and I'm not really interested in robotics and tech nerd stuff too much, but when he makes the videos, he makes them really interesting. It's just so cool.
That's the best comments I get are people that say, I don't even like woodworking, but I'll watch the whole video. And I'm like, those are the people. So he's doing a good job if he's got you hooked and you're not interested in that.
He does, yeah. And you're still killing it there. I mean, it's crazy how that epoxy, I'm telling you, the river table trend is just as hot as ever, isn't it?
I haven't done an epoxy table. I guess I did it a couple of videos ago, but it's been, I've been trying to do less of the river tables because a lot of people, I've done a lot of them and I just don't want people to get too bored. But I think epoxy is kind of like live edge.
It's just a thing now.
It's people are doing it, and it'll kind of pivot and change and adapt and might be here for a while.
Yeah. I think you should just do more of like the really bright blue colored extreme pink and stuff, because that's going to define this era in the future. People will look back on it like, oh yeah,
we're pretty close to the 80s like right now in terms of style. Like the neon shoes are really popular and all that.
Yeah, it's true.
So I feel like this could be our 80s table.
Mom jeans.
Don't get me started on the jeans. I don't know what happened. Jeans used to be cool. But speaking of that, did you see my last video?
That was a good segue.
There you go.
It was really good.
I'm bringing jeans back.
I saw that. So yeah, this is pretty cool. You made like a epoxy table out of denim, and when I say epoxy table, is it really an epoxy table? It's mostly denim, but the epoxy sticks it all together.
I titled the table or the video. Table made entirely from denim, and I was corrected by hundreds of people that told me,
actually,
yeah, it's actually epoxy, and then you have wood legs, and then you have this, and then you have put metal bolts. So I'm like, okay, it's not entirely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I call it a denim table, but it's definitely denim and epoxy.
It's pretty cool. I like how you started out, like you went to thrift stores thinking that you were going to just like rip up some jeans, and it was pretty soon you're like, oh fuck, no, this is going to take me forever.
Yeah, I thought that would like really endear me to people. Like, oh, I'm repurposing used jeans and all this, and then pretty soon I'm like, no, I'm going to use brand new denim.
Yeah. Well, I have a question about this, and you're not the person to ask, but I'm going to ask you anyway about this this trend for flipping stuff. Okay, so I noticed that there's people who are buying things at thrift stores like Goodwill, maybe furniture or something that's like $20, $25, and they're very proud of this. They'll show this on their video. Yeah, I bought this thing for, a chair for $25, and I managed to sell it for $150. And my thought is that really ethical, considering so many of people kind of rely on that furniture at these stores to actually furnish their homes because they're not rich and wealthy, and here's you are just snagging up this stuff just so you can flip it to some other wine mom.
I'm not in this circuit, but I know a little bit about it. But I did see someone post recently or had a video about saying that the upper middle class has ruined thrifting for the people who need it because they're just doing it for, their clicks instead of the people that actually want to repurpose this.
It's true. I just don't know. It feels wrong. And this is one of the reasons why I like to donate used clothes to Goodwill, is because I know that somebody is going to be shopping there and will find that particular piece of clothing that just is like, I love this. This is perfect. This is exactly what I needed, and then get it for a couple of dollars or something.
Yeah.
Rather than somebody swooping in and.
That's I know I feel the same way about my wife buys pretty nice clothes, and she has a lot of clothes, so every now and again she'll have to purge this thing, but they're fairly nice brands. It's not probably it's not Kardashian brands, but they're better than average stuff. And yeah, I'd hate to have some, upper middle class person find it at the thrift store and be like, oh, great, I got a deal on this, versus someone that could can't really afford those brands.
Yeah, there's something about that. But, it doesn't bother me. Like if people are, flipping furniture or whatever, by buying it from like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. So for me, somehow that has a different vibe to it, a different feel than going to these stores that exist to service, poor people.
So you're saying it's a good thing that I wasn't able to create a new affordable trend from taking old jeans, because then there'd be a jean run on all the jeans in the thrift stores.
On the other hand, you bought new materials, so it's a catch-22. What are you gonna do, huh?
Yeah.
So let's describe this table. So you have, I don't know, like 5,000 miles worth of denim that you bought. Is it like on a big, like a bolt, like on a fabric roll?
Yeah, I bought 70 yards of 14-ounce denim, which this was 70 yards long by 66 inches wide, I think it was. I think it's like 1,200 square feet total, and I didn't end up needing all of it. But I used 50 sheets, 30 inches long by that 66 inches wide.
Damn, so it's a lot of.
It's about 1,000 square feet.
A lot of cutting.
It's a lot of cutting, more soaking of the epoxy.
Because this looked like the most miserable experience, and I know the video you cut out all of the. It had to be just hours of monotonous.
It was about 5.5 hours of just like me just wringing, and then my glove would rip and I'd have epoxy running down my arm. And luckily it wasn't that hot, but I was in like that waterproof paint suit type thing, and it was really uncomfortable. And since then I've had some constructive comments. And do you know about vacuum infusion?
I do not know what that is, no.
So they use it for carbon fiber parts primarily, but you basically put your fabric on a table, you have tape down around it, you put this vacuum bag, but it's just a sheet of plastic over the top of it sealed to the tape. You put a hose in one end that goes to a bucket of resin, you put a hose in the other end to a vacuum, and it sucks, there's more to it than this, and it sucks the resin through the piece and infuses it at the same time, and then so you have no spillage, no wasted epoxy.
Wow.
So I've talked to a company in England, somebody had recommended, and we had a video call the other day, and they're currently trying to do this with denim like as thick as I need, because they normally go very thin. Mm-hmm. And they said if they can't do it, it probably can't be done, but they think they can do it.
See, that wouldn't be a very good video. We want to watch you squeezing out gallons worth of epoxy all over
yourself. It'll be a good video the first time, because I think I can throw enough old clips from my first video, but
look how I did it the first time.
The 10th video would be boring.
Yeah, I guess so. Do you think people would want to watch another denim video, though? Because every video you make is
I've done like 40 black epoxy and walnut table videos.
Yeah, so. Yeah, you're true. Yeah, all of your videos are basically the same.
I think I'd have to do, and I'd like this, to be able to do a little bit more on the custom base. Yeah. So it'd be a little bit more of the woodworking on the legs or the base, and then I do a different type of denim top.
You never get tired of just making tables? I mean, basically, you're just making tables, right?
Mm-hmm. I have an idea for a cabinet that I've never seen anybody do. And I'm going to try that. I'm waiting on the wood right now. But yeah, tables are fun. Tables are, I don't know. It's what I'm good at anyway.
You see, you make a cabinet. He's like, you jump the shark. Everybody's gonna like, no, make the tables. We want to see tables.
So this cabinet, I got an idea from this online furniture company or this one I saw on Instagram. It's basically going to be like 300 blocks of 18 inch by 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch by 18 inch blocks of walnut. And I'm going to glue them up into like kind of a, I don't know what kind of cabinet you call it, credenza maybe. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to be like carving them together into shape.
Huh. That sounds fun. What do you mean, like power carving them? Like,
mm-hmm. So sculpting them into like one big kind of flowing cabinet shape. So it's not a regular cabinet.
That's, you know, Blake, don't you? Blake McFarlane?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. His stuff's amazing.
He's got actual talent, so I have to find a way.
I told him that when I was talking to, every time I see him, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Everybody I talk to is good and they're craftspeople, but man, you're an artist. Yeah, you just got he's like, oh, no, I just use templates. And
that's what he told me. He's like, you can do the same thing. You just draw two outlines and one on each side. Like, nope.
He's like downplaying his art. Oh, who's the dog? Who's the dog back there?
Hey, bud, come on. We have contractors today, and he likes to bark at the door all day long, so he's hanging out with me.
What's his name?
It's Riggs.
Riggs. Where'd you come up with the name Riggs?
Lethal Weapon.
Oh, okay. Hello, puppy. I like it when we have dogs and cats on the show.
He's pretty independent, so he normally is hanging up just on the couch, but he has to stay with me this morning.
You know what I was thinking? Because all of your videos do really well when you have dollar signs in them. You know, I think we talked about this before. Mm-hmm. How people love to see that. That's the Mr. Beast approach. The more money that you dump on something. So, I was thinking you should just lean into this and make an epoxy table that's just like filled with $100 bills.
Can we get this crowdsourced from the podcast I go on?
Let's do it.
Yeah, it'd be Steve Ramsey Presents.
You're a multi-millionaire. You can lay out a little bit from some $100 bills.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'd stay whatever I am for very long if I did that.
How we can do $1 bill? You just go real ghetto.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely keep that in my back pocket. I'll be
sure you will. Yeah. Well, there's been guys who've done whole floors with pennies. That's like to me, that's the tackiest thing you could ever do.
That's pretty bad. Yeah. The pennies ones, the bullets is pretty overdone.
Bullets is so all just like Merca.
It's very, very, very America, yeah. Like I liked it. Like, okay, I like it for the first person that does it. Like, it's like anything new and original, but like seen enough of these bullet tables, you're like, all right.
What's the other? There's another epoxy table channel. What's that called? It's Black Forest, right? They're also an epoxy channel, but I noticed they're like using a lot of your thumbnail titling kind of techniques. So I've
seen a little bit of. I mean, everything I got, I probably picked up from somewhere else. It's not like I own it, but yeah, I've seen a lot of the people in our space that are doing similar things to what I'm doing.
Yeah, because they see you and they're like, man, this guy's got it going on.
I know the Black Forest guys fairly well. They're more of a furniture company.
Right.
Like they have a really good social media presence, but I feel like it's more to push their furniture company and their furniture products.
Right, because they don't have like a face behind it.
They don't what?
They don't have a face behind it like you.
They got their main guy. I feel like, but he's
I guess I should watch more.
Dylan.
Oh, Dylan, of course. No, I don't know Dylan.
They do good stuff though. They do some crazy doors. Even you want to talk about like real craftsmen? Yeah. They got like build $50,000 doors.
Are you calling any of your tables river tables after that? Well, one time we talked about that guy. This guy who trademarked the term river table.
No, I don't do it originally because I was like, well, fine, he can keep the name and I don't want to give him the satisfaction because people don't buy or click on things because of the name river table. And now I wouldn't do it just because it's like cliche. Like people are tired of river tables, but a resin and walnut table, they might not be.
Well, it's also become, there's a term for that. It's like genericide. It's when a word becomes such commonplace that you actually lose your trademark for it because you can no longer really use it. When everybody is just saying river table, then you can't really defend that copyright or that trademark.
That's do you know Mike Clifford? Industrial maker.
Oh, sure. I didn't recognize that.
Yeah. So he was a patent attorney in his previous life, and he was very adamant that if anybody challenged that river table thing, that he had all his legal reasons that it wouldn't hold up kind of for the. But I'm fine. He can have it. He's got his own niche.
He's like, that's funny because I'd never heard of that whole bit until after I talked to you and I went and looked at his website. He's like, he's so proud of that trademark. He's got like the original river table. It's like he really wants to pound it home that like I'm the one.
I'll tell you, anybody that puts, now this is maybe a bold statement, but the original blank, whether it's the original soft drink or the original this or this, like you don't see Coke or whoever was first saying like, drink us because we were first. Like they're trying to like go to other reasons why you should drink them, because when I hear the original, I'm like, oh, that means there's a better, newer version out there.
Exactly, because they're being really defensive.
Yeah, because they're like, well, buy us because we got here first, guys.
Yeah. Well, the first of anything is not always the best. I mean, that's kind of actually probably more common.
I was like, it's almost never the best.
Right. It's because people always say, I was the very first podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's why nobody listens to you, because everybody's moved on from that.
Yeah. I heard a guy from France, I think, saying, or maybe it was Italy, saying like that it was in a legal documentary that they've been practicing law or whatever it was, their judicial system for 2,000 years or 1,500 years, and we've only been doing it for 200 years. And so theirs was better. And I was like, trying to think of all the different examples of things that like, is James Naismith, the first peach basket basketball guy, is he better than LeBron? Like all these like horrible examples. I was like, I don't think that's a very good argument.
No, it's never a good argument to just say you were the first or the original, because that's, things improve.
What's a bummer about that river table guy is he's a really talented craftsman, and I genuinely believe, like, I don't like him at all as a person. I think he's horrible, but I think his original river table design was breathtaking, original, like really cool. Like I won't slight his design at all, but he's almost been crippled by that, where he won't do anything else. Like,
right.
I remember years ago, he had a big announcement of the next thing from him. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm like waiting for it. And it came out and it was like wall hangings of the same thing. And I was like, oh, okay. So I think, I have the luxury of not having much talent, so I can try new things. So like, I can make a denim table, I can do whatever things, and I can do the curved epoxy works and just, have fun with it. And if people start copying those, then I can go do something else.
Yeah. Then you can say, I was the first to do the curved coffee table.
Early on in the epoxy table world, there was one of these guys that was saying he was the first in America to make epoxy tables. And I'm like,
whoop-de-doo.
So you were the first to copy it from whoever, and then...
No, it never really matters. But you say that you're not talented or something, but you really are. I mean, because your tables, they always work out in the end. And it may be because, and I kind of feel the same way myself, is every time I make a project, it's like basically the first time I'm doing it. Even though I'm drawing on skills that I've used in previous projects, it's still the first time. It's not like I'm batching out things. But yeah, at the end of your projects, they always look great.
Before I go like full tilt, I'll usually try to do a smaller version. Like this one, I had built a little end tabletop, just so if there's something in my head that didn't quite work out, and it's not uncommon. I have another version of this table that I'm actually probably going to start today, of something that seems cool in my head, but when I do my small version, I'll be like, oh, that's either a good idea or a bad idea.
Is it going to be $100 bills?
That's what it is. God dang it. I was trying to have a little bit of suspense here, but yeah.
Here's what you got to do. You got to make an epoxy table that's filled with wood. It's just, see, then people will say, why don't you just use the wood? Because it's epoxy with wood in it.
Okay, yeah. Making like an OSB table?
It's a high concept, yeah. It's troll.
We aren't far from where it's just like, okay, let's just use OSB now.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, OSB would be okay.
I've seen some guys try to make it into furniture, and it's not terrible, but they're not quite there yet.
Yeah, I suppose. What'd you think of Workbench Con? I think that was the last time I talked to you, was when we were down there.
I had a good time. It's
Was that your first
and this
one
is
you'd
coming
been
from
to?
someone, huh?
Was that the first one you'd been to?
Second one.
Oh, you were, okay.
Coming from someone who spoke there last year, the talks aren't that great, but everybody there, it's just a great opportunity to network, which is my understanding. My wife told me all conferences are that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't learn a lot from conferences, but you meet a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to VidCon. Actually, tomorrow I'm leaving for VidCon. So
I've been curious about that one. Is that
yeah, it's a big
you
one.
learn anything there?
Well, so it's got started by Hank and John Green years ago, and it was just kind of this fun thing and early YouTube, and then it started growing and growing and growing, and then a few years ago, like 2018, 19, they sold it to Viacom. So Viacom is this multi, what do you call them, like a media conglomerate, giant behemoth, I don't know, Satan or something.
Okay.
But I guess it's I haven't been since 2018 or so. I haven't been since they have the new ownership. So it'll be interesting to see.
Is that different than Vid Summit? Is that another one?
Vid Summit, I think, is more for just creators. VidCon is a lot of like fans. So the thing with VidCon is it's a lot. It's the last time I went, it was like 16,000 people attend. I mean, it's just massive. Whoa. And there's
who talks at it?
Oh, it's just, you can't believe how many just different panels and speakers there are. I mean, there's just different levels. There's like community area for just like YouTubers and their fans. Most of them are age 16 and 17, these kids and singers and stuff. And then there's like there's like a more commercial level. And then there's the top, which is like the industry level, where it's people talking about, brand deals and all of this sort of thing. And so you can kind of pick and choose which track you're going to go on. And so I'm doing the industrial one, just because I like to you get the top floor of the convention center there, and you can kind of relax up there and be with adults.
Do people recognize you?
Oh, yeah. And see, they would recognize you too. Everybody be stopping wanting selfies.
I've only ever had one selfie request.
Yeah?
It was a big day for me.
Oh, you probably got it at Workbench Con, though.
No, well, I mean, I've had photo requests, but only one person ever asked me for a selfie. That was at like a wood shop.
Oh, well, see, that would happen because you're a star now. You're a celebrity.
There we go. It's all I was fishing for that, Steve. Thank you.
You're a big shot now. I can tell. So I'll report back. I'll let you know how VidCon is. I never expect much because it's just a complete zoo.
Is it close to you?
It's in LA, so I'm going to fly. So that's like, but it's a short flight. It's like an hour and a half flight from San Francisco.
All right. Yeah, I'm curious to know how it goes.
Yeah, so mostly, I mean, I'm just going to meet up with a bunch of friends and people I know, especially from my other podcast, people we've had on there. And so that'll be fun, just kind of have a meet. It's an expensive way just to meet up with a bunch of friends.
Yeah, that's what people are saying about Workbench Con, but I still think I get something out of Workbench Con.
Do you? Yeah.
Like, I get something from sitting down with everybody and talking over ideas.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I know. I was talking with you and Mr. Lincoln about, are you guys still working on you were thinking of an idea for a course or something, weren't you?
Lincoln Street, John?
John.
Mr. Lincoln. I can't say his last name either. It's his Satter. No, we're actually got some dates. We got some other makers involved for doing like a chapter on it.
You're going to be like YouTube gurus, aren't you?
He's a better guru than me. I feel like I've had success, but kind of accidentally. He's the guy that can put it on pen and paper and say, this is why you had success.
There's a lot of those guys out there. That's like a huge genre on YouTube, the YouTube guru.
He's going to start a second channel. I don't think he's going too serious on it, but just so he can post some content about that.
Yeah.
And I think there could be something there for him. There's not a lot of YouTube gurus even remotely in our space. It's all, it seems to be geared towards the very younger, more viral type of YouTuber.
And because everybody's trying to just copy Mr. Beast. You see that all over the place. And it to me, I'm at the point where I'm exhausted seeing the Mr. Beast clones, especially in like the woodworking, these middle-aged guys who are with the screaming thumbnails and then the clickbait titles. And I'm getting to the point where I see these clickbait titles and I'm just like repulsed by them. I can't take it any longer.
That's why I think John could have a good niche to be in, because these guys are doing what these experts are telling them about, because they are, talking heads that are parroting what they say about Mr. Beast.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily apply to a 51-year-old woodworker,
exactly,
in your garage. So I think John could help people like that out, because first of all, most people have bad ideas on how to teach people content. Their videos will get 30,000 views a video and they're telling people how to go viral, and you're like, I don't think you're an expert on this.
Right.
So
yeah,
I think John has a good opportunity.
Yeah, that's good. I on my most recent video, I was so tired of this, I thought I'm going to try an anti-clickbait approach. And so I just make the title, I made a deck. I'm like, this is a deck I made, basically was the title. It was a deck without anchors on a floating deck.
I think I watched it, or at least watched a short on it.
And then I thought, I'm so tired of going through and spending an hour going through the video trying to find the thumbnail of like where's the dramatic hook? Where's the drama shot? And so I just put a final finished product shot of the deck like you would do back in 2013 or 14. And you know what? That thing did really well. And so I'm kind of thinking maybe things are changing a little bit.
It's funny you say that, because we've actually talked about this, been a little while, but we were talking about how never to post the finished photo of your project because people feel like they've seen the ending. And I'm continually testing old videos like that have kind of died off. And now I have like maybe 20% of the time I'm putting the finished thumbnail in the finished photo in the thumbnail, and those are doing better than the other ones, because I feel like people might be getting a little bit tired of the progress shots, or maybe not getting paid off, and so having that finished photo might be more of a payoff for people.
Yeah. Do you ever change the titles of your videos, or are you just one and done?
I change everything all the time.
Yeah, I see that all the time. People are like, and I'm just like, I'm done with this. I'm going to title it and then just move on with my life, because I see these.
You're leaving a lot of meat on the bone.
No, see, I don't think so. I don't think you can make a lot of money off of AdSense. Well, you can, because you get millions of views on each of those videos.
No, I was, when I gave my talk at Workbench Con, I did some quick math, and I actually think I was underestimating, but I think from basically dead videos, I'd been able to, through titles and thumbnails, only changing that, I was able to get another 30 million views on my channel from just changing old videos.
How much do you think that translated to in dollars?
I don't know. You're the RPM guy.
No, I'm not. I don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
No, I don't know. Because I wonder, because when I was doing that, I was doing like A/B testing of thumbnails and everything. And I think, am I just grinding my wheels for an extra 1% boost? It just seems like I think I could spend my time more productively making videos.
So that 30 million views at $7 an RPM, which is pretty standard, would be $210,000.
Wow, that's pretty good. See, I don't get that kind of.
Maybe because you don't change your titles and thumbnails.
Yeah, but you get so many views. I mean, your videos, you never get less than a couple million views on a video.
It's the goal.
That's the goal. I'm happy to get 100,000.
It's,
I mean, it'll way up. I'm fine.
Everybody's, every channel has their own kind of baseline, and all I'm really hoping to do is not to get less, because that's what you see. You have channels.
Well, it will happen eventually.
I know
it'll come down.
I know, but I don't want it to. I don't want to push it off.
Nobody does, because our whole self-worth is based on views.
You know me too well.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think there was a lot of good meetings happening at Workbench Con. And they got to change the name of that. Don't you think that's an awkward name for a conference, Workbench Con?
I do. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I feel like somebody in our group is gonna make a better one.
Yeah, there's been
Uh,
this is and see here again, this isn't the first because the first was never the best. There's been other types of conferences like this, but more woodworking focused. There was Woodworking in America, which was probably the default one for a while. Then there was Maker. I'm blanking out. What was the one with Make Magazine did all over the place?
no. There's Jimmy. Jimmy has the maker camp.
He does that. Well, that's different. I think that's like a hands-on kind of thing.
Yeah.
Some guys were trying to get me to do that, but and then they tell me, well, they actually camp there, like in tent. I'm like, no, I don't do that. No,
Yeah.
I need to be like in a 4-star hotel and swimming pool.
Yeah, I don't want to go to Atlanta, like is if I'm on a vacation somewhere, and I know it's not vacation, but like let's pick somewhere people actually want to go.
Well, that's not Jimmy's. Jimmy's is in New York.
No, that's what I mean,
Oh,
Workbench Con.
Workbench. Yeah, I know. Well, I was just in the little bubble there. I took the Uber to the hotel and I
Yeah.
never really left. I'm just right in that thing and then just leave right away. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
That's
there's
why I think if someone wanted to make one, I don't know where the coolest spot would be, but it's not Atlanta.
it's San Francisco. There's a new one coming out this month or June or July. It's in Open Sauce. It's called Open. I think it's a play on open source, but William Osman created this, and it's going to be.
What's it about? I mean, who's it for?
It's a maker, but it looks like it's more geared towards sciencey tech kind of stuff. Maker Faire, that was the one I was trying to think of. Maker Faire was the one, and it was mostly like robots and electronic stuff when they talk about making things. And so this one's going to be in San Francisco, and it's got like Grady from Practical Engineering and Unnecessary Inventions. Maddie will be there, which would be fun. And I didn't get an invite, so I got snubbed. But I don't think they want woodworkers.
I would like to see a little broader one. I think like not necessarily the science, but like go metal and blacksmith and woodworkers. A little bit more crossover, I think, would be beneficial to everybody.
That was kind of my disappointment with Maker Faire. And I went to a couple of the Maker Fairs, and the one here in the Bay Area, it was down in like San Mateo, it was the biggest one. It was huge. And I was expecting makers, like, okay, you're going to have this wide variety of people making. So mostly it was like software developers, and they had like a little corner for some woodworking and some metalworking.
Yeah.
But it was like really heavy on robots and just STEM stuff.
I feel like, yeah, there's a line when you get from, somewhere from metal to robots, you need when you get into moving parts.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you ever think about going to Teresta's thing up there in New York?
I've talked to him about going. It's like I'll go. I'll do anything if I have time. It's hard to have time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure what I would do there. There's a couple things I'd like to learn. I'd like to learn some welding and stuff, but it just seems like a long way to go.
It is, yeah. And I don't know that I want to camp.
To me, that was kind of a deal breaker. I mean, and there was like, well, there's spotty cell service and stuff. I'm like, I don't know about that if I want to do that. So I guess you could stay in a hotel and just Uber over.
I do think Oregon would be a cool place to have. Like in Oregon in the summer, I feel like it'd be a place people would want to visit, and you could have some cool, potentially even indoor-outdoor stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean Pacific Northwest, especially for wood. You know what's funny though is there's not a lot of woodworking out of the West Coast. Have you noticed that?
I think there's a lot of woodworking near me, so
I don't know. I mean, like everybody, it seems to be East Coast, like North Carolina. Like every house in North Carolina is a woodworker.
Well, do you know that North Carolina is like the the furniture manufacturing capital of the United States anyway?
Yeah, it's not surprising.
Yeah, there's a town, High Point, North Carolina.
Oh yeah, I know.
My wife goes to. Yeah, where it's literally the town was just built around these like furniture expos.
Yeah, that and tobacco. They grow a lot of tobacco there, I think, still.
And a lot of basketball.
Yeah, I've been to North Carolina. I think that was where there was a woodworking conference there a while back. I think it might have been, I don't remember which one it was. There was a number of those, and they all just kind of folded up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with with Workbench Con. I think Workbench Con would, I don't know if they were wanting to scale it or what they were wanting to do with it, but I would like to see it more geared towards regular people and not influencers, because it's the whole, but I guess that's the point of it, is that it's for people making maker content, not really for people
I
who
think
wanna
they need
learn
to
stuff.
decide what they are. Like, are they just a woodworking and people who want to be, woodworking influencers conference, or is it something else?
It's mostly Instagram.
I've noticed my experience there is it's mostly geared around the social media woodworking
Yeah.
platform.
And by social media, we mean Instagram.
I thought there was a lot of YouTube. I mean, I just saying, there's a guy who gave a talk on YouTube. So,
Did you give a talk this time?
you were at my talk, Steve.
Shit. I forgot about that. No, I remember that because I gave you a quote for.
I literally closed the talk.
I brought the house down.
You brought the house down. I gave your quote, and everybody gave a standing ovation to your quote. And now you're like, "Did you give a talk there?"
God damn, I don't believe. See, this is a sign of age right here. I forget.
I mean, I used to say you were one of my favorite podcasts because you're always so well prepared, and you always like did this deep dive. And,
well, you come on. This is the third or fourth time you've been on. I don't prepare anything now. I'm just kind of winging it.
Yeah, well, now maybe you'll do a quick refresh.
This is officially when this podcast is just like.
We've jumped the shark here.
Jumped the shark. You know what I was doing? I was looking at your website. I was trying to prepare a little bit here. Okay. So,
okay, go on. What did you see?
Okay, so let's go through this. Let's workshop this.
Okay. First of all, what website were you at? I'm not even positive at this point you were on my website.
This is the thing, because you've got like a million different things going. You're like you've got your hands in everything. Okay, so I'm looking at this is blacktailstudio.com. This is the flagship site of the Blacktail Studio empire right here, right? Okay, so let's see. I'm calling shenanigans on something here.
Go on.
Okay, I'm going to your shop because you can buy things. But you can't buy things because every single thing it says is sold out.
It's true.
Your top one on here, solid denim desk. It was the one we were just talking about. Beautiful desk. Well, I thought it was a table, but it's a desk. I was calling it a table. I guess it's because you had the little plug-in things, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes it a desk. Sold out. And it said $20,000. You gave this to a guy.
Yep.
You could put any price on there you want. Why didn't you put $100,000?
Because this is more of a remnant when I was selling more furniture, is I like to put the price of, if someone inquired today, what would that price be for them? So when they look at it, maybe I want to sell one, maybe I want to take a commission for one of these, and that would be roughly the price that I would take. So if I put $1,000, then people are going to think they're going to get $1,000. If I put $100,000, they'll say, "Oh, I don't want to buy that. I don't want to spend $100,000." So if someone wants that, they know roughly what to expect the cost to be.
Luthier slab desk, $13,000. How are you pricing these? Where do you is this just out of thin air? Oh wait, you've got, but every single one of these is sold out. But did you sell any of these? Actually, sell any of these, or were these all just projects that you gave away?
No, most of these were sold.
You did.
Let me see. The Luthier slab desk, that one sold.
See, like the Nile resin desk, where you've got that bright glowing nuclear blue. See, there's your ticket right there. That's
the one?
That's 2022 in a nutshell right there.
Yep. No, almost all of those were sold. A couple of them I gave away. And the price that I list there isn't necessarily, I'll tell you the price they sold for if you are curious on whether they're close to that or not.
Okay, the Nile resin desk, how much you sell that for?
That was early, hence the blue resin, which I think that was $6,000.
Oh man, that's just cheap.
I know.
You were underselling yourself on that one. So really what this functions as is a gallery more than a shop.
Correct. And I have a lot of people watch my videos, go to my page, and they're just curious what stuff would cost. And so that's why I don't have a gallery.
It's so they can hate watch. So they can come back and go, "Shit, man, how are you selling those for so much money? It ain't right."
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, it's a guide. It is basically a gallery, but people also will email me and ask me questions and prices all the time. So this saves me a step.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing. Okay, so this I thought was pretty interesting too. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of marketing here. Okay, so You have this 30-minute consultation with Cam. And look
Oh, I
at you
gotta take that.
standing there.
Where'd you find that? Where's is that on shop?
This is on the bottom of your shop. It's below all of your
Okay,
gallery.
I tried to remove that and I forgot it's on that
Sold out
page.
pieces. So you just put a sold out. You're sold out. You have officially sold out.
No, I don't really do those consultations anymore. Although people keep finding them and ordering them.
Just
So
put a sign up there. It says sell out.
I will now. No, I didn't know what page it was on.
But anyway, but I think you should leave this here because you know what you've done on this. Okay, so I look at it, I'm like 200. But did anybody actually ever do that 30-minute consultation with you?
So I used to have that on my contact page, and I would do 5 a week.
Wow. And people just want to talk or something.
No, I usually wanted advice with their with their epoxy table. Although when I started offering the epoxy course for like $149,
Yeah.
I'd tell people, I'm like, look, it's cheaper to go take this entire course than it is to have 30 minutes with me. So
this is
I
exactly it. This is this marketing bit this is why I think you got to leave this up there because you're like, I now have a virtual epoxy workshop, and you're like, yeah, you could do the 30-minute consultation with me, but here's something cheaper that's even better. And so, you're like, wow, I want to do that. Why would I spend $200 to talk to? Oh, you do look very happy in that photo there, right? It looks like a SawStop ad because there's a SawStop right behind you. See,
I think I took that photo myself with I had like a remote timer in my hand. It was like click and then like put it down.
Do you know I don't take photos anymore? I just use video and then I just take a screen cap from one of the frames.
That's almost all I do for my video thumbnails.
Yeah, photography's dead. I was talking to Jared Poland last week. He disagrees, but I think it's dead.
He would disagree, I imagine.
Do you know Jared?
Not personally, but I know who he is.
Aware of him. Yeah, he's fun to talk to also because he's got very strong opinions on things. Because especially on I thought he was going to have a very anti-AI kind of opinion about photography, but no, he's kind of into it. He's like, yeah, it's good.
I mean, you have to be because it's going to come, and
it's already here.
If you don't, then you're going to be the film photographer, that says, "Oh no, film's still better than digital," and you're like, okay,
right. Well, this is also going back to John and his YouTube guru-ness, talking about improving your channel and all of this stuff, and this is I think I discussed this with him and you down there at Workbench Con was that. All of these tricks and tips to get your videos seen, I think are becoming less and less relevant because I think it kind of reminds me of when people used to put keywords in their titles of their videos, woodworking /video, easy /project. And, they're just trying to stuff it. And YouTube, Google has not worked like that in a long time. And so I think now even more so, they've got AI that is not trying to find words in your video. They're listening to the video and it's coming up with the actual context of the video, what it is you're actually doing here so that it can recommend it to people to watch. And if your video is recommended, that's how it gets seen.
But there's always going to be what is engaging people more, what is doing, and it could be what makes your video better and more watchable, but it's things I'm finding on my shorter form stuff, my 1 minute to 5 minute videos of you need to give people like a hook right now. I have a TikTok video that I put up, and it was something you talk about the dollars. In the first sentence, I say something about it being a $17,000 dining table, XYZ, and that video got like 15 million views, and I think it's because I got people. It's a 4-minute video, but I got people right away, and so they're like, huh, and I kept them watching for a little longer than usual.
I think that's the key. They say you got to hook them in the first even less than a second now on
it's true.
TikTok. It used to be like 3 seconds, and it's too exhausting for me anymore to just try to. I tried doing TikTok for a while. So you doing TikTok quite? Are you?
Yeah, I'm finally having some success on TikTok.
Really? Does that success translate to anything? Dollars and cents? Nothing? Anything?
So for longest time, it was nothing. It was just they pay you in followers.
Right. Most people are happy with that.
They are. They have a new TikTok creativity program beta that someone had told me about, and you have to be approved for it. And it takes your, they do pay people, but it was basically nothing. So it takes you from like 6 cents per 1,000 views to like 60 cents per 1,000 views. So I've got like, because I had that 15 million view video or whatever, I've got like $5,000 or $6,000. So it's something. It's not enough to like, just if you were only doing TikTok and only making that content for it, it wouldn't be enough to pay for it. But it's the same content I'm putting on the other platforms.
Right. And what about Instagram? Does that pay you much?
I've never been paid on Instagram. I know people do. I tried to sign up and I kept saying like I was earned 0, and then it would be like, sign up for a new program. I'm like,
yes,
okay.
I kept getting that too. It's like, you're eligible. I'm like, yeah, I thought I did all this.
And so I sign up again, and I've literally made $0 the whole time. And so now I don't sign up, and I don't really. Instagram is more my just behind the scenes. Like I'll just post a story of what's happening today. And
yeah, I don't even play the hashtag game on Instagram anymore. I just stopped. I'm like, I don't think hashtags do anything anymore.
I don't. I added a hashtag for the first time in like a year because I'm doing this mammoth tusk restoration, and I was like, maybe they don't know my page is the mammoth tusk page, so I added a mammoth tusk. Hashtag.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, most Instagram though, wow, for all the makers and everything, it's like almost exclusively just branded ads for stuff.
A lot of that, yeah.
It's just, ugh. And so it's really hard for me to sort through that. That's why I think I like to use it for like filmmakers I follow and things like that, because they'll just actually still post photos and like behind the scenes photos and things I find interesting rather than, hey guys, look at my new tool.
Instagram's always been my safe space for like, I don't follow hardly any of my friends because they post boring stuff. And
but I mean, like Bourbon Moth.
No, not my non-woodworking friend, like my like old-timey friends from like
same here. Yeah.
Pre-woodworking. And so like I had someone like I'm very quick to unfollow people there because I just want to keep the sterile, interesting environment for me. And I had someone that like posted, I don't know, probably a picture of their baby or something, and I like unfollowed them because I'm like, that's not what I'm here for. And I got a message from them that day asking why I unfollowed them, and I'm like, you're not alerted of that. Like they had to go find.
Wow.
Right?
Oh man, that's kind of awkward. Did you tell them? Because I don't want to watch your baby.
I don't remember. I probably was honest. I'm usually fairly honest with that stuff.
Start posting something interesting.
Yeah, like literally, like your parents and your wife and her parents are the only people in the world that want to see that baby. Like, there's my social media lesson for these people.
Well, you get that on whenever there's like the Mother's Day or Father's Day too. It's just this rash of people posting pictures of their kids and everything. And there's
people used to ask me, because Instagram is where I got started and had some success, and that was my whole formula, was just like, do not post it if you wouldn't click on it, or if in very least, like if you saw somebody else who you don't know post whatever it is, like if that's not interesting to you, it's not the same content is not interesting to other people. So your dinner that you're posting out, or your workout regime, if you're not a fitness page, like they don't care.
It's so true. I mean, because there's this one guy who does woodworking, but he posts a lot of stuff that he does with his kid, and it's like so cringe. But I also kind of wonder, like, Oregon is a state that apparently has a bill running through, or it may go about, posting your kids online, and it's all because of these family vloggers that will give the kids the right to, once they turn 18, demand that their parents delete every video they were ever in on their channel. And I think that's such a cool thing. I think that should go mainstream, because these kids are basically, as maybe not so much on Instagram, but on YouTube with these family vlog channels, they don't fall under any kind of child labor laws, and yet they're basically working. They're the reason why people are watching these channels.
Sure.
And if you eliminate those kids, nobody's going to be watching this man and his wife doing their daily stuff,
It's true. That's why I keep kids completely clear.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I just think that's not a good idea. I had my son was in some of my videos when he was younger, and he helped me with some as he got older. But yeah, especially the younger kids, I wouldn't put them online like that at all.
And I guess I don't necessarily care if someone's, that's their thing is like, oh, my son's helping me in the shop. Like, that's fine for especially if it's on brand. Like if that is, something they do. I probably don't want to watch it, but I think a lot of people do. Like they like the father-son, engagement. But I also feel like that kid should have some rights.
Definitely, because I mean, this is why they had the, it was the Jackie Coogan Act in Hollywood that demanded kids get paid for equally, and that their parents can't just take all the money that the kids are earning from them. And
it's crazy the amount of horrible child stories there are with that.
Yeah, well, YouTube, if you put because you got to check that box. Is there any children in this video? And you check that, and basically, you're not going to make any money off of that video.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I think I had I built a table for a friend, and his kids were in the very end of it, and I think. I might have left that box.
Yeah, I think there's some wiggle room there. I think if it's kind of like a quick little one and done thing. But and then there's the box, which is like, is this made for children? And that is the do not pay me box.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you check that, then they actually will. I don't think you can enable comments either if it's made for children. So there's comments will be turned off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, well, it was a huge kind of scandal on YouTube a few years ago. So that's why they had to fix all of that.
It's a wild west out there.
Yeah, it's calming down a little bit. So where were you heading with Blacktail Studio? You just going to keep making the new tables and stuff over the next year? Do you have any like big, huge plans?
I'm trying to buy a property.
Yeah.
Looked at one a couple times recently. It's a complete shithole. Did I just get you demonetized? Can I say that?
No. There's no money in this. Are you kidding me?
It's a complete disaster. But I feel like
there you go. You can flip it.
There you go. It's more land than I need. It's got a completely rundown building on it. But it would be good content. I don't really do like shop rehab content, but maybe for my other channel. So I'd like to get a property so I could do more and bigger projects. Then I'm just trying to keep going. I'm a little nervous on my next video is that I'm restoring that mammoth tusk. There's no wood in this project at all, not even the pedestal. So it'll be my first non-woodworking project.
And non-epoxy.
There's plenty of epoxy in it.
Oh, it is. So you're just taking a mammoth tusk and encasing it in epoxy?
Like just filling all the cracks and infusing it. And
where did you get a mammoth tusk? I guess I should have asked you about that. What's the deal with the mammoth tusk? How did you come? I got
a mammoth tusk guy.
You got a guy. You met him in the back alley there in Portland. Hey, you want to buy a mammoth tusk?
There's a guy that I think his whole career he just drives around. He's from northern Alaska, and he drives around these small mining towns. And throughout the year, the miners dig up these tusks looking for gold. And they set him aside, and he's just a broker. And I think he goes and he offers them a fair price, and they know, oh, so-and-so's coming through in a month, and he pays them by the pound, and then he sells them to whoever.
Wow, I thought that was like a super rare thing to have. I didn't know they were just digging them up.
They're more common than you probably think. I mean, they find, I don't know whether it's hundreds or dozens or whatever it is, but many every year. And so, yeah, it's... They're out there, and so I bought it from him. And
how much did it cost?
$7,500.
Oh, I see. I would think it would be more than that.
See, people go either way. They go, how much? That's way too much. Or
well, I thought it was like super rare. I was expecting like 50, 60 grand or something,
So restored, that's kind of what they might sell for. So I'm not going to sell mine, but if I get desperate for a thumbnail for a title, then I'll put a $50,000 mammoth tusk on there.
Go 100.
But that's not my initial plan. But yeah, that's my next project, and then I got a handful of videos. I do want to do more denim, actually. I think I got some interesting ideas to keep that fresh.
Nice.
And then try to keep being engaging enough that Steve invites me back.
Yeah, maybe I'll consider. Well, you got to keep those numbers up. See, I only want you on the show if
What's my average view? What's my limit? When I drop below what?
you drop below 1 million, a video, I may let it slide once, but if it goes to like, 900,000 on a video, you're out of here. I'm going to Bourbon Moth. He's my backup plan.
I'm making that video unlisted if it does, so you'll never know. You'll be like, didn't you have a mammoth tusk video? I'll be like, a what video? Doesn't ring a bell.
You know what you do? I was noticing on your denim table though is you have a lot of really, the way you do your self-promotion is really good because you're talking about what you're doing your voiceover, and then you just have like a little note down below that talks about something that you're using, whether it's your nano finish or whatever. It just, you're not like beating people over the head with your sales pitch all the time, which drives people crazy.
That's why I don't really work with brands. It's not that I never will again, but I need basically total freedom. If a brand, and most of the time they don't want that.
I totally agree.
And so I just, I have to work it in naturally, which for my own products, I'm the only one that's got to approve it.
Yeah, man. That's the way to do it.
That's why I do it. And it might not be, I had a video, I was promoting men's wedding rings, and they were actually pretty cool little rings. And the video took off really well. It got like 500,000 views in a couple days. And the guy, we'd signed on to do 2 videos, and he was a really nice guy, really easy to work with. And he's like, hey man, I've sold 4 rings from a half million views, and these weren't expensive rings. And I was like, oh, it's not great. And he's like, I can't do this next video. And I could have, I already had the money, and I could have tried to fight him on it. And I was just like, all right, send his money back. So I might not be, my style might not lead to the most sales, but I feel like it's good for the videos and long-term brand.
Yeah, there's something so much better about promoting and selling your own products. Oh my God, it gives you that freedom that you can promote it the way you want and how you want to integrate it into your stuff, and people don't mind it as much as when you're making your epoxy table, and then all of a sudden, hey guys, by the way, I want to tell you about my experience with Surfshark, Yeah,
exactly.
Like, oh no, I got to click through 60 seconds to get out of this trap.
That was I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'll just
throw you under the bus anyway. Anything you want on this show.
It might have been the first time we talked. We were doing a podcast, and you go, hey, I got to do my first ad read in like 3 years before when we get started. And I was like, I was just surprised that I was like, why would you not have done ads for 3 years? I was schlepping everything at the time. And you're like, oh, I just pushed my course. I like pushing, betting on myself, pushing my own product. And I was like, oh, I like the idea of that. And that was what kind of inspired me to create my course.
Yeah. I think I did an ad read with you on this show. I was trying to get some ads. I still try to get sponsors on the show to just kind of, because this show costs me money every time I do it, except for the Patreons. Patreons help out a little bit, but I don't, it's basically sort of covering the costs, but the time and effort it takes to do this podcast is quite substantial. But it's a different thing than YouTube. And YouTube, it's easy to get sponsors. NordVPN will sponsor you if you've got 5 subscribers, and anybody will do those.
Sure.
But podcasts, man, that's hard to get people unless you're like top tier podcast.
That's why I never wanted to do a podcast. It's a lot of work to do a good podcast. I've done a lot of bad ones, and you can just, God, it's like pulling teeth when you're on there. I was on one not that long ago.
Yeah, I saw
that. It was 2 guys just like having a conversation, like I wasn't there. It was kind of like,
yeah, that's kind of awkward. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine, but it was like I didn't need to be there for this.
Yeah, I've done a number of podcasts over the past few months. For some reason, people, I guess after Workbench Con, people wanted me to do their show, and it is kind of fun as a guest on a podcast to just kind of see how they handle discussions, and how I don't know, it's hard. It's something I'm still learning and trying to figure out. But
the first one I ever went on, it was just audio only, and never talked to the guy before. And he would ask me a question. He'd say, how long have you been woodworking? And I said, I got serious about it in 2016. And would be a pause, and he'd go, that's awesome. And he did that for every question. And the next thing would be, like, what's your favorite thing you built? And I'd say something, he'd go, that's awesome. I was just like there's no engagement. I was like trying to get something out of him.
That's hard.
Yep.
Well, Cam, you're awesome. I'm glad to have you on. I'm glad to have you on my show again. Thanks for joining me.
Anytime, Steve.